Man, this is the truth between the beef between Tupac and Mobb Deep. And this is this is basically it. I mean, when Mobb Deep first came out with Juvenile Hell, they actually were right around where Tupac was filming. When they were doing Juvenile Hell and doing some songs, they had to go down there because it was filming a movie, and they was going over there to want to check it out. So they was hanging around the crowd, and actually they was filming Above the Rim, and Tupac was there. And this is like back in '93, and Pac was doing some like final shooting scenes for the movie before he got caught up with the case. He was doing that situation there, and once everything went down with with that situation, Mobb Deep went on to put out Juvenile Hell, and it was hell. It didn't really do good, but that's about as close as they got to Tupac at that time. They heard a dude, they listened to his tracks, they liked some of his songs, and was inspired mostly by him. Before that, nobody was really rocking the headbands until they saw Pac basically rocking the headbands. So, at this point, Pac is the one that's leading that charge for like thugs and all that stuff. So, they wanted to check that out and be a part of that. Above the Rim came out, they went to see the movie Above the Rim. And saw Pac, loved Pac character and everything. They was, man, he's shifty. He was like an East Coast dude carrying blades in his mouth. They loved that about Pac. So when they was making a fourth album, when they was like, Thug Life, we still living it, only the strong survive, Pac was in jail listening to that song. Mobb Deep used to come to Rikers and do shows. Not when Tupac was there, but before you went in and all that stuff, they used to go to the island and do shows, and one of the guards there knew Mobb Deep. And he was like, yo, man, if you holler at him, tell him Pac said, what's up? He was like, all right, for sure. I'll tell him, when Pac was on the island. Now, that part is all true. Now, talking to the Outlaws over in Jersey, they had a club called 88 back then. It was called 88, Club 88. And some of the Outlaws felt like Mobb Deep and all of their crew, when they were trying to do their little thing, when they was dramacidal, had some run-ins with Mobb Deep. And they got like shunned and like rushed off. It's like, man, get out of here. Y'all some, little busters. So when they was trying to like, yo, what's up with us, man? And Mobb Deep just kept it moving like they didn't even notice it. So they went back with the hate when they visited Pac, like, yeah, man, Mobb Deep, man, forget them, they fake, man. Yeah, we tried to say what's up to them, told them we down with you and Thug Life and all that, and they ain't even paying us no attention, man. They just went on it. So Pac was like, word? Oh, okay. It was nothing bad. It wasn't like he said, man, we gonna ride on them when I get out of here. Nothing. Nothing like that. All of a sudden, Snoop comes out. They do the New York, New York video. And right when they did New York, New York, which was done after the Source Awards, now you created a tense situation. You just basically gave it a fuse and just lit it. Whoever came up with the idea, because the song was out, the album was out, basically. It was nothing to it. The Dog Pound album was out. The New York, New York song wasn't even talked about. The fact that they came out with that single was shocking to me. But the video concept was like, what are they trying to prove? Are they trying to get props to New York? And it looked that way. Right? They was up there shooting some scenes. It looked like they was in Philly, but trying to make it look like they was in New York. And then Snoop comes and kicks a building down. And I'm like, what is he kicking down skyscrapers for and like grilling? Like, what is this about? And I'm like, this is because of the Source Awards? He coming in with all this attitude now? So, after this incident, when Pac get out, Pac didn't even, it was no real beef about that for Pac, but once they came out with LA, you know, that's when everything went up. Because now, for the first time ever, Mobb Deep has taken a stance, which it wasn't Mobb Deep. And all they was doing was getting back at, what's his name, Snoop now for New York, New York. And that was Tragedy's idea. That's all Tragedy's work. Tragedy saw an opportunity to make some money. So when he said, oh, well, let's go ahead and do that and come out with LA, they credited Mobb Deep with LA. Now, while Pac is in jail, he was in jail for, I don't know how many months, almost a year. But you're looking at from 94 to 95, almost a year. And during that period, the East Coast rise, it was a shift in hip-hop. When Pac went to jail, everything was ran by the West Coast, basically. The West Coast hip-hop train was in full effect. It was Death Row, Snoop, Dre, everything was West Coast. Artists, releases, they were dominating majority of the charts. To where Def Jam, all the New York artists are trying to get a West Coast artist to conform over and get West Coast sound. Not that the East Coast didn't put out songs. For everybody on the East Coast who's gonna jump on the video, man, we was rapping hard, dude, we had this, we man, you don't know what you talk about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm looking at the grand scope, not from the hood. Now, when that happened, there was a shift when Pac was in jail. Not that Tupac was the reason everything went. It's not saying that at all. Is that when he went to jail, all these other things was transpiring. With the Death Row and the shift of Biggie coming out and being that big commercial star to really put East Coast music back on the radios. A lot of people like, man, Wu-Tang brought it back. Man, then Smith and Wesson, them, they was bumping in West Coast. You missing what I'm saying. I'm looking at a worldwide perspective, not just some hood stuff. Biggie had more spins than any of those guys, and that's how you get the pendulum back. It's about spins. If you're a record company, your job is to get spins for your artists. And anybody who rap, who knows anything or been gotten a check from rap, will tell you, if you want to make it, you need radio. You need spins to go commercial, to go hot, to be on the air, to go and do the wave. This is before internet. You can't just say, I'm going to just do it myself. I'm going to get hot online. Wasn't like that. Online could take you global. But if you was doing it on your own, you couldn't go global without radio. It was very hard to do so. So people in the hood, like Redman and them, who had a hard time getting their songs on the radio and wasn't going to go through payola to do it, they were cool with just selling their little 500,000 and do their shows from city to city, and word of mouth is going to spread them. And the one couple of videos that they do see, you know, they cool. Give me do 500,000 and I'm good. I ain't got to do all that. So they cool with that. But while Pac is gone, all this transpires, and the New York song was out crushing for I don't know how long. And then they want Nas to come jump on the song for New York, New York. I mean LA, LA, because Tragedy Gaddafi is. We just gonna let them be. We need to get at them, B. We need to get on these dudes. We need to get at them. And everybody like, whatever. Nobody really feeling it. So Tupac come out and he out of jail. Everybody was happy he was out. He had people on the East Coast, rappers and stuff, was pulling for him to get out. And now that he got out, everybody's like, okay, Tupac's out. Now that Pac's out, okay, let's go ahead and that's cool. And people happy for him. You know, we glad homie, you know, he out of jail and what's not. On the East Coast. He came to do Saturday Night Live. Nobody was looking for him. He had no problems. None. He performed, did Saturday Night Live. His album was on top of the charts. Nobody was gunning for Tupac. Nobody was dissing him. And he's doing his interview sessions and he's saying little jabs as to, you know, what was going on. But other than that, he's staying quiet and playing the role and being good soldier. Because he wanted to wait before he jumped off that cliff and said, I ain't gonna jump off the rails. I'm gonna let my songs do my talking and just drop little jewels here and there. And then he went from that to an explosive EP release. And he had plotted that. He wanted to make Hit 'Em Up, but he knew he couldn't make that his first record. He gotta make his money first. He gotta make his sales and get himself high. Once he sold 5 million, forget about it. Forget about it. People forget he sold 5 million records alive. Then sold another 2.5 million on for EP for Hit 'Em Up. That's 7.5 million records sold all within 1 year. And we ain't even got to Machiavelli yet. And people think I'm a Tupac hater. Are you out your damn mind? How could you hate? That's one thing. Unless he dissed you on the song, how could you hate Tupac? Tupac was one of the most, sure he was conflicted, but you was going to get some real shit from him. You know, he was going to spit it. And he was going to give it to you genuine. He's going to give you creativity. He was going to give you his heart. He's going to put his heart in it. Whatever he's going to do, he's going to put his heart in it. And because of his spirit, and he has such a strong soul, his music to this day, everything he says, people hang on to. He's still relevant. 20, 30 years. It's been 20 years since he's been dead. Almost 20. And he still as relevant today as he was back then. I mean, Tupac is in high rotation, and they talking about putting out a movie on the 20th anniversary of his death. Unbelievable. You know, and he was coming out of jail, and when he got out of jail and saw what was going on with the forefront, saw that Big E, East Coast, was running everything, he didn't like it. Biggie had became the biggest star in the world, and Biggie was never his real problem. He didn't like Puffy. He really didn't like Puffy, Andre Harrell, and all those guys. He really felt they were a part because they were associated with Jack and the rest of those guys that he felt, you know, took him down. Pac never felt that was a robbery, you know, like they came to get my. Even though people told him that, he never believed it. That's why he checked himself out the hospital so quick, because he thought they were gonna come to try to finish the job. You know, so he was like, no, after surgery, he's like, I gotta get out of here. Like 3 hours after surgery, I gotta get out of here. You know, because they could be coming to get me. You know, so after that shooting situation, that was a done die. He thought for sure they set me up, and that was it. Nothing could change his mind on it, and everybody else was just rolling with it, man. It was crazy. So he comes out and finds out about recent events and what's going on and the climate to certain situations. Then the LA song dropped. And when LA dropped, and I say the first part of the year, it was through Tupac's rise. Tupac's ego, once his album hit the roof, just before Hit 'Em Up, y'all, he went to a new plateau. His confidence level was at an all-time high. He was back drinking and getting high, and he was more into, I would call, the dark stages, where his confidence level has made him be feeling like he's untouchable. He's on top of the world. He can do whatever he wants. He got Suge to back him. So everybody's a moving target to him. And at any time he wanted to get him out of there, he can get him out of there. And he became like power drunk. And when Mobb Deep didn't really get involved in the song at all, P took his verse off the song, which made Tragedy pissed off. Because he was like, man, we finna put the song out, and then Nas said, nah, I don't want to do it. And P thought Nas was gonna be a part of it. And once he saw Nas fall back, he wanna fall back. And he was like, nah, man, I'll let you take your verse off if you want to, but I'm keeping the hook. I'm not taking the hook off. So now it's like Prodigy's off the song, but he's on the hook. And Tragedy and Capone, Noriega, all them on the song of LA. And then LA come out. And now you got problems for the people who was involved on it. Like Snoop, Daz, and all them. They had problems static with Mobb Deep. And they didn't even know it. And they were just like, oh, they some local guys. But they accredit Mobb Deep for the song, even though it's Tragedy Gaddafi featuring Capone and Noriega and Mobb Deep. It's Tragedy's song. I keep telling people, like, this is not Mobb Deep's song, but Mobb Deep was the bigger name at the time. So they gonna put Mobb Deep name in front of it. So it's like Mobb Deep is dissing us. And this led to the blow of Mobb Deep, because Mobb Deep had a lot of pull, even in Cali. There's dudes that mess with them. You know, they got homies out there that used to live in the East Coast that chill out there. So this situation caused a little rift because they went to the back, and when they went to the back, what happened? I think they went to the back room, and who was that? And I think it was somebody from Cali. They boycotted him and said, yo, man, yeah, like, yo, man finna do a joint, something, like, they dissing you, like, Daz and them finna diss you on a record, like, Dog Pound, they finna diss, like, they finna come back. He said Corrupt and all them, they finna come at y'all. And they was like, word, that's what we want, we can get it on lyrically. Because they wanted, Prodigy wanted nothing more than to show that he was a lyrical beast and he could stand on his own. You know, and everybody was comparing him as a lyrical giant at the time and putting him in the top 10 best lyricists. Like P, man, his lyrics is sick. And and based off the Infamous album, because at this time they just have Infamous. Hell on Earth is not out yet, so Infamous is just P crushed that. So all of a sudden, they come with like thinking Dog Pound finna diss them someday, and here comes the bomb. Tupac dropped Hit 'Em Up, and oh God, we all know the effects, all right? That split up me and a girl. I lost my chance with the girl I was chasing forever because Tupac dropped Hit 'Em Up. Split up everything. That date was not going to work. I was not going to get a second one. And I don't know. Maybe it wasn't worth it, but she was Serena Williams thick. And I lost her. All because of Hit 'Em Up. Hit 'Em Up came on, and it destroyed the whole cool. It was like, so listen to the radio, Then it was, we got this new joint from Tupac. Hey, y'all. It's on. Oh, my. The name of the song, it's on? That's why. Boo! WKKC, they would play the profanity late at night. Once it hit like 10 o'clock, you could play the cussing, so everybody would listen to them. That's Kennedy King College. So WKKC is what everybody used to listen to anyway when they come online, because you get to hear all hip-hop all the time, and then they play the cussing. Even over the radio, they had the authority, because once it's like past 10 o'clock, they can just do whatever. So it was past 10 o'clock. And when that song came out, it was, oh my God. It was beyond anything I was ready for. It caught me off guard. So now that I'm hit with this, and I had to deal with that situation with her, she's, what is this? I'm like, oh my God, are you listening to this? I'm freaking out. I'm trying to drive to find my cousin now. I don't even think about her. I got to get rid of her now. Because now it's on. We got to get this track. We going to Kennedy King College. I called up there and said, man, what in the world did you just play? It's a new Tupac record, man. It's called Hit 'Em Up. They were depressed. They were depressed by the song, because they knew that this ain't finna be good. This is gone, man. I don't know what to call it. They were like, they didn't want to, like, we didn't want to play it. That's how crazy the record is. They were debating about playing it. Then every radio station started playing it in the daytime. Dude was like, I'll do the edits. Somebody else is doing the edits. Because they had to have it, and everybody needed to have that record. Everybody. And normally WKKC, my cousin crashed in there to get a Killer Army song. That's another story. But let's stay on track. Now, that song comes out. Mobb Deep hears it. People in the bridge hear it. It's everywhere in New York. And what's happening over there is everybody looking at Mobb Deep like, MP. Because he basically singled Prodigy out. Because that's the one in Mobb Deep that everybody say really raps. Even though Havoc raps, he singled out Prodigy. Don't one of them have sickle cells or something? And it wasn't really, it was known, but not really publicly known, really broadened, that Prodigy has sickle cells. He just told the whole world that he has sickle cells. If he had said that in the way this dude bound to have a seizure or heart attack. In today's time, oh, they would have crucified Pac for that. He would have had the sickle cell anemia clan. They'd have had a Twitter thing, been Twitter bashing, Facebooking. It'd have been a whole trending topic. Tupac's a sickle cell anemia hater. All of it would have been bad. Because You're not allowed to make people uncomfortable anymore. And see, that's what it was back then. It was to make him feel uncomfortable. That was the whole diss. You can't feel comfortable. Now it's a problem. When he dropped Hit 'Em Up, it was on. For that whole Puffy crew and Biggie and all of that. Biggie wasn't his problem. Biggie was the engine of the train. Pac wanted to stop the train, but he got to stop the engine. Biggie was the engine. He had to go after Biggie because the people that are backing him are the reason he felt that he was put in that position. For the jail and everything. The shooting, the jail, he blamed him for all of it. Now, that led to Mobb Deep's situation because they were in the interview, and this is how rappers used to communicate to each other, through the magazine art. So P was just in shock when somebody from the Source, I believe, interviewed him and about the Tupac situation. He was really in shock. He was just like, man, I never did or said anything about dude. We had love for him. To hear him say that about me, I don't know what made him do that. But dude just shitted on my health. Something is, me and him gonna have to knuckle down, or something gotta happen behind that. We gotta, he just shitted on my health. So, yeah, we gonna have to see each other about that. So, that's where P took it. Pac read it. Of course he did. And he mentioned it in his song. Mobb Deep wonder why a nigga blow them out. Next time grown folks talk, nigga, close your mouth. And he's blaming them for because the guard knew Mobb Deep, and he blaming the guards for the situation behind bars when Pac said he got raped and everything else. It's a whole mess behind that, but I'll get to why that happened. We'll get to that later. We'll go through all of that. So when this goes out and Pac has got to come back to New York for the MTV Awards, he was supposed to do some shows over there, and they couldn't do a show because they didn't have things set up right. And the promoters didn't want to book Tupac. Pac was supposed to come over and do a show over in, not Jersey. He was supposed to do a show that was close to Jersey. I think they were going to have Tupac the Outlaws do a show that was close to Jersey. But it was too crazy, and the club promoter was like, if I let y'all in here, we going to need 16,000 fire trucks to try to block people out. New York City and Manhattan wouldn't let no rap acts in Manhattan. Not going down. So that was out. Giuliani wasn't allowed it. So Pac couldn't do any other shows like Radio Music City Hall and all that stuff. No. So they were going to do a show in Connecticut. And the thing was, they was booked. Everything was set. Like Tupac coming into Connecticut. Next thing you know, Mobb Deep, all them dudes, Infamous Mob, everybody came to Connecticut, was getting tickets. They was finna see Pac. They were coming out there to Connecticut to see what it was gonna do. They was making the drive. And this is Connecticut. Tupac, the promoter, ended up canceling the event because he felt it was a problem. And they were gonna book Tupac and everybody, and they had Death Row was bringing like 30, 40 people reserved, 30, 40 people coming. They had the Nation of Islam was going to do security. Everything was on point for them to come out, and they was going to be cool with that. It's like the Nation of Islam do it, then we'll come out and do the show. And it was going to be Tupac. It was Tupac. Snoop going to be there, I don't think. I don't think Snoop was performing, but I know it was Tupac, the Outlaws. They were the headliners, of course, and they had a couple of other artists that was on there, but nobody basically from New York. I think maybe Outkast is on there, and the Dungeon Family. I believe so, 100% that was the case. That Outkast was on that bill, and there's a lot of other artists, but nobody from New York was on that bill. It was West Coast. I think maybe Richie Rich was on there, or Forte, one of them, and Outkast, and the Goody Mob. Them, they were the ones on there. That got shut down. Mobb Deep went and made the song. They made about 2-3 songs about Pac, but the one that made the album was Drop a Gem on. The other two didn't make the album. Mobb Deep decided to cut those other 2 songs off the album because Pac got shot like a month later, so they had time. So they didn't make the album. You know, they did like what, about 24 tracks. So when they were making the album, they was picking what was gonna go. With Drop a Gem on them, that was gonna be their ticket. They was dissing Pac on the first release of Hell on Earth. And P was in a zone. People don't understand. Prodigy was in a zone for those 2 albums. P was in his zone. And lyrically, he was at a peak where you couldn't touch him with a razor. He was sharp during that era. So when he came out on that song and started slicing the way he was and Drop a Gem on that beat, that sample, are you kidding me? Everybody heard the song, and it came out right before Pac even came to New York. It was everywhere. Drop a Gem on him. And Pac was coming to MTV because they had Nation of Islam and they had security. And Pac called up to Jersey like, look, we don't need some help. And he had sent Fatal home because Fatal Hussein, rest in peace, also crashed his whip. He crashed Pac's brand new car. Pac almost kicked him out of, well, he did kick him out of Outlaws and sent him back home. It's like, you kicked out, you gotta go home. He kicked him out, so he was already in Jersey. And he was like kicked out of the Outlaws. And when Pac just called him out the blue, like, look, we coming to MTV, we need some dudes, I need you. He was on point, and like, this, I can get back in my good graces with Pac. So when that happened, Pac is like you back, you know, like, don't screw up again, you know what I'm saying? But you back in, you know. He took care of everything, and Mobb Deep and them didn't show up. You know, they were. Mobb Deep could not be there. Nas was there, and Nas had only a few people that he could bring. But he had to call up, like, man, we got a problem. You know, like, we need the dude. So the Bridge came up there to support Nas, because Nas had came out, sold all these records. He became the new, you know, feature. He was the new star, or the one that was going to lead the way because of his album. And Juvenile Hell is coming out later that year, like November, around that time. So about time Mobb Deep album comes out completely, and they have completely the Mobb Deep album. Once they hit with that and Hell on Earth, by that time Pac was already gone when Hell on Earth came out. The Drop a Gem on them was their lead single. It hurt because radio don't want to play Drop a Gem on them. and Pac's dead. You know, it's like and they was just like, we need another single out right now. It's the G.O.D. Father Part 3. You know, anything out there. But drop a gem on him. And drop a gem on him was lyrically, oh my goodness. And I'm a Tupac fan, and I knew, like, woo. Because when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, Pac can respond back to this? This is a monster. You know, like, how he gonna do that? He had to go up against, ooh, this track is a monster. But unfortunately, his life got cut short. Rest in peace, Tupac. And that was it. I mean, the whole beef with Mobb Deep and Outlaws was dead. Everything was dead. Because they really never wanted to diss Pac. Pac was cool with them. They ain't do no slick stuff like diss him after he did. None of that stuff. Then when they did Thug Life Is Mine with Nas, Thug Life Is Mine, it pissed off the Outlaws and everybody else, and all the love they just gave to them, it was just destroyed with that song. Because they felt that was disrespectful. So they had to explain why they made Thug Life Is Mine with Nas, and he was like, that was basically Nas' idea. You know, like, Thug Life Is Mine, don't need to be, you know, he came up with the hook and everything. They just wrote to it. But it was basically Nas' thing, and they had just got back cool with Nas. And it was because Mobb Deep was about to blow, basically. And Nas was like, okay, I need to get back. You know, they had got back cool, but he knew he needed to be on that album. So the album came out when it was originally supposed to. They pushed the album back, and they were able to put that song on there. But the album's coming out, that song went on it. It's Mine, it wasn't on there. So when they pushed it back, It's Mine came out as the extra bonus song, and then it ended up being one of the hottest songs on there. So after that, that's how it ended, you know, and everything was everything. Mobb Deep, unfortunately, their career started to spiral and get out of control, and Pac is an icon forever. He became a martyr and became larger than anybody could ever imagine, because that's the kind of spirit and soul he had. He was beloved by everybody. Even though he was hated by a lot of people, he was more loved than he was hated. And this is from different generation of people. Like the essays, it's hard to have Mexicans love your music and your work. Trust me, they will buy 1,000 Spanish CDs and Selena Gomez before they would buy anything rap. Tupac, they will buy Tupac. Love Tupac because he was from LA. He represented LA. He represented the essays. Loved him. He had more essay love than any other rapper on the planet. The essays loved him. Eazy-E, they loved him too. Because he embraced them. So they were really down. They were really Cali. And, you know, that's basically essays anyway. So they all roll with Pac. They loved it. Even in Germany, and they love his songs. His music transcends time. And on that note, we'll end this. But we're going to continue with Tupac. We're going to clear all this stuff this week. Because everybody always asks me stories about Pac. Stories about Pac. Stories about Pac. And this week, I'm going to give them all to you.